This is our national economy presentation by Joel Denney and David Nickel.
Real GDP. Real GDP is measured by the total money earned by the sale of all final products in a country and then is adjusted for inflation. This graph shows the percent change of the real GDP from one quarter to the next in the United States. The most recent statistic, on the far right, is third quarter of 2012. It was a 2.0% rate of growth, which is more than the predicted value of 1.8%, which is good. The best situation for GDP is good sustained growth. As shown by the graph, the growth has been quite stable. It's not exactly very high, but it is rather decent. This growth will most likely continue if the fiscal cliff is avoided this coming year.
Inflation. A healthy rate of inflation is about 2 to 4%. After having several months of dangerously high inflation, the inflation rate was dropping until July of 2012, but at that point it was dangerously low, less than 1.5%. After that, though, it started to get better. We predict that it is going to keep rising due to a growing economy. This is good, as it is probably due to the growing economy and not to simply hyperinflation.
Unemployment. The unemployment rate is the percent of people in a country that are unemployed and seeking work. This number does not count, among others, full-time students, military people, and retirees. A healthy unemployment rate is about 4 to 6%. As the graph shows, the U.S. has had relatively high unemployment in 2010, but that number has been decreasing the past 3 years. The unemployment rate is currently at about 7.8%, but in years to come, the number should decrease to optimal levels. However, if the congressional deal falls through and the fiscal cliff is reached, the unemployment rate will go up quite noticeably. The inverse is also true. Aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is a gauge of the overall demands for goods and services in a country at all quantities and price levels. Shifts in aggregate demand are caused by the change in willingness and ability for people to buy goods and services. A good example would be if there's a major tax cut, aggregate demand will increase because now people have more money to buy things. But a natural disaster will cause aggregate demand to go down because now people have less money to buy things with because all their money died in a fire. Aggregate supply. Like aggregate demand, aggregate supply is a gauge rather than a number. It is a gauge of the willingness and ability of suppliers to supply their items within a country at all quantities and at all price levels. A shift in aggregate supply can be caused by some new technology that is formed, or it could be some sort of difference, whether there's more or less of resources and or capital. State by state. Since the client is interested in a health food store, Minnesota would be a good choice for her to set up shop. The economy is shown to be growing by the prices for Minneapolis homes, and the state in its entirety is rather health conscious, as it does have the Mayo Clinic, and the University of Minnesota has a rather good medical program.